Topic of the week. Just a thought. Yes, just a thought. After so many years of rumors, obnoxious leaks, developers announcing games in strange ways, and even impressive mods, we finally have information in regards to Silent Hill. I guess it was never too late for Konami to announce a comeback of this highly praised franchise. Not only we will receive a full-fledged remake of Silent Hill 2, but a bunch of other announcements that we don't know much about. I'm Leo S. Luna, and I'm here once again with valuable information and curious thoughts I have for each game. As a fan myself and former reviewer, I'm very curious about what's to come. I'll talk about each developer, companies, their previous works, and some key elements found on the trailers. And do not worry, I won't spoil important elements of the story in this video. But before jumping, I like to land my soft spot as a fan of the franchise and the genre. In general, I was totally at peace with this franchise. I pretty much enjoyed most of the games, and I truly believe that each one offers a very unique experience and a good story to tell. It's really hard to pick a favorite, but usually Silent Hill 3 is the one that wins over to me. Not every game is a masterpiece for sure, but I didn't have the need to see the franchise being remade all over again. As I explained in a previous video talking about remakes, the Silent Hill games were made in a very particular circumstances and talk about their delicate topics in a very careful way. They were emotional tales that spoke to each person at the Silent Hill team, and even further Western studios that came along with very bright ideas like Shattered Memories. I would feel uncomfortable by watching a movie remake from a David Lynch or Stanley Kubrick film, for example, and so was the Silent Hill original games. Many great survival horror titles from the Video Game Guild have been released since the Silent Hill disappearance that I think many people are currently missing, whether it's because they tie to the old stuff and don't give a chance to new talents. But then I came to a personal agreement that even if these remakes are released, we can still go back and enjoy the original games. Both Bloober Teams and Silent Hill 2, an original title, can coexist with no issues. Plus, all these studios have an excellent background of games that I've tried in the past and could bring very interesting ideas to this strange universe. And I don't have a personal grudge for any Silent Hill game the same way I have with Resident Evil turning into a Hollywood action blockbuster, so honestly they can do whatever they want. Well, mostly.
Silent Hill.
If you'd like to hear more about Silent Hill, feel free to leave a comment and I might consider creating some kind of retrospective videos or curious facts in some future. With all that said, let's start to talk about some of general clarifications. As of today, we don't have release dates with any of the announced projects. Konami still owns the IP, hasn't sold the rights to Sony or anyone else. However, the company seems to have a partnership with Sony to market Silent Hill 2 remake and release it as a one-year console exclusive, which is funnily similar to what Bloober Team did with The Medium and his one-year exclusivity on Xbox. Each developer has permission to develop their own game with Konami's involvement in some way, whether it is production, QA, testing, localization, and management. And finally, keep in mind these Silent Hill games are intended to tell a story and let the player interpret it as they want. There are clue elements that happen in them for sure, but the resolution and the manifestations of the tone are purely subjective. I say that in case you intend to correct or harass anyone on the internet about it. Now let's talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake. Of all stories, this is the one that fans brings the most, and by judging from the trailer, it looks very similar, only this time being remade with Unreal Engine 5. It all looked beautifully developed, shot and edited by Bloober Team. It tells the story of James Sunderland, who receives a letter from his dead wife inviting him to meet at Silent Hill, the place he promised her to go back. Then of course, James will face a lot of horrors that will haunt him throughout his eerie town. The concept art is created in collaboration with Masahiro Ito, the original artist who brought us a lot of the monsters from the first 4 Silent Hill games. And yes, that includes Red Pyramid Thing. Akira Yamaoka will be back recomposing the score of this new game, and so far we noticed some old melodies from the original game being reworked in this trailer.
Could she really be here?
But what about Bloober Team? Well, if you played their previous works, you can clearly understand why they picked them to develop this remake. Originally founded in Poland, they have been consistently releasing horror games since 2016, being fans of the Silent Hill franchise. Most of their titles are original stories where a character has to deal with trauma, social stereotypes in a horrific psychological environment. The Layers of Fear series deals with artists trying to reach its magnum opus creation through obsession and constant work turning into shreds and insanity, which also reminds me a lot of Darren Aronofsky's films. Later they worked on Observer, a mix between a film noir and a psychological thriller of an investigator solving crimes in the future, dealing with the mind of the victims and their murderer. Bloober Team also has background working with renowned actors like Rutger Hauer from films like the classic cult Blade Runner and Arkadiusz Jakubik from the acclaimed Silent Night and many other Polish productions. They're working together, incarnating complicated characters in this cyberpunk horror game noir. Blair Witch is all about PTSD and a character actually dealing with this post-witch, and my favorite game, The Medium, is about a person who can travel between the real world and spirit world to talk to ghosts and other entities to unravel a mystery surrounding her past. I pretty much recommend all of them, but as you can see, you can clearly have a mix for each of these games and create a cool Silent Hill game experience. Aside from the revamped graphics, a new voice cast, the Silent Hill 2 remake trailer seems to resemble a lot of the original game. The looks of each character and enemies are pretty much the same, but this time thanks to the highly detailed horsepower of Unreal Engine 5, you can clearly see much more details, like the way James looks himself in the mirror, the way he watches through the closet while hiding from enemies, the way he scratches his hand, and so on. The town has a lot of interesting reworks for the typical architecture of Midwest United States buildings. Rain was not present in the original game, and you can see it overflowing our fearsome Red Pyramid Thing. You can clearly see that Masahiro Ito has more influence than simply character design. After all, he was involved in animation, video editing, and other key elements of the original game. I honestly don't care if they go in a different direction as long as their idea works. I'll say Bloober Team is quite straight and raw on their narrative, which could be an important challenge on Silent Hill 2 considering the subtlety to mental health issues and traumas the characters are facing. That said, I'm curious if the game will have multiple endings, how the combat works, and how the puzzles will be recreated. Will Bloober Team go the extra mile to explore more of this place? Only time will tell, since we did not have any release date or year whatsoever. Keep in mind that Bloober Team is also working on a new installment named Layers of Fears. And then Konami will collaborate with Annapurna Interactive to release Silent Hill Townfall, which we don't know enough to figure out what it's all about, but we have some clues you might not want to miss. First, there's a one-person dialogue talking to someone about how they got caught, and one of the two is afraid of the other. I'm leaving you the dialogue here if you want to dig into more theories. There's also the codename Timefall, which could resemble some characters from the past of Silent Hill. Maybe Dr. Kaufman, who was responsible for so many crimes. Maybe a new character related to the cult. Who knows, but you can leave me theories in the comments. Oh yeah, a Twitter folk also showed this secret message, which is pretty eerie. No Code is a studio based in Scotland that released two narrative horror-esque adventures, stories untold and observation. Both games are played in a first-person perspective where they get stuck with very little known clues. Observation is the one I finished and is about the disappearance of Dr. Emma Fisher and his crew on a space station. You see everything through an AI called Sam, solving puzzles and unraveling every clue missing. It's an interesting and short thriller that I truly recommend. So maybe in this Townfall game we'll be unraveling why we are trapped and the initial motives of one of the characters while solving puzzles and revealing more of the town elements. It all sounds like a neat idea, to be honest, so do not skip on this one. Return to Silent Hill will be a newly adapted film by French director Christophe Gans, which you may know of the original Silent Hill movie, which is considered to be a cult classic to some fans, myself included. It is said he wrote the script during pandemic and the plot will be based on Silent Hill 2. It will also work as a separate story from the other two films, perhaps for the best. I did not know this, but he is actually working on a new Project Zero or Fatal Frame film alongside with Koei Tecmo, which he already wrote the script for and will start shooting after finishing with Return to Silent Hill. His career offers a short menu of horror films and he seems very committed to making a faithful story. Wait a minute, is that Bloodborne? What the hell is that? But did From Software based on this movie as well? If so, Gans himself seems to be involved with video games more than we'd have thought. Wow. Can somebody confirm this? Anyways, coming up next we have Silent Hill Ascension, which it seems to be the most ambitious project of all the announced. It is self-described as a massively interactive live event. In the trailer we see a lot of people arguing in chat while trying to save someone. And then a new monster appears on screen. It seems ambitious because of the concept of making decisions along with other people, and these decisions will impact the narrative from further story plots. Also because it is being developed by 4 companies: Gambit, Bad Robot Games, DJ2 Entertainment, and Behavior Interactive. I personally don't like when there are too many studios involved, but perhaps it could be separate stories all blended into one. I can clearly see something similar to Black Mirror's Bandersnatch or a supermassive horror-like game as a live event shared across an official app, web browser, and consoles where multiple people take choices of the main storyline. Studios had a solid experience in horror and in the Video Game Guild. Behavior Interactive is currently working in the overly successful and asymmetric multiplayer game Dead by Daylight, where serial killers try to murder a bunch of other folks. They also have a Silent Hill expansion with the Executioner and Cheryl Mason characters. Gavin Technologies specializes on providing interactive experiences to gameplay-based games like The Walking Dead, Last Mile, Dead House Sonata, and more, while global choices of RPG games do take some consequences, and later on the community manager explains the results on weekly shows. I haven't tried those games myself, but I can only imagine the implications. Then we have DJ2 Entertainment, a feature film, television, and digital content production company specializing in video game to TV motion picture adaptations, which is currently working in all these fantastic projects and actually helped on developing the successful Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And finally we have Bad Robot Games, a support studio company who helped develop games like Weird West and Moonbreaker. Experience-wise, these studios are all over the place, so it's difficult to see what Ascension is about, but for the moment I'll be cautiously optimistic until I see something new. Silent Hill F is for sure one of my favorite new announcements. It will be an entirely new game set in 1960s Japan, which I consider perfect for the spooks. We don't know much about the story other than having a young character traversing an old Japanese town and being overtaken by nature with a beautiful yet disgusting art direction, in a good way of course. Neoverts Entertainment is in charge of this project, which is a studio founded in Taiwan by industry veterans around the globe. They were the ones collaborating on smaller remasters like Onimusha Warlords, Devil May Cry HD Collection, current gen updates of some Resident Evil games, and new smaller games like Resident Evil Resistance, Reverse, and so on. And the most intriguing thing is the script, which is written by Ryukishi07, who is famous for creating horror visual novels like Higurashi no Naku Koroni and many more. I'll expect a very dense storyline full of mystery and horrific imagery. And finally, we have a lot of silly Silent Hill merchandise with ridiculous prices. Of course, that's to be expected for 1/6 scale figures, which are very close to the original design characters from Silent Hill 2. Even the freaking dog will have one, something that not even my past self back when I was playing the original title would comprehend. So, those are all the announcements in regards to this beloved and dormant franchise that is Silent Hill, and I'm very optimistic on what's to come, and it seems all projects are in good hands. It's a little underwhelming that we did not get more gameplay from each, but Konami did his research by choosing the appropriate studios for the appropriate projects. So what do people think? Which Silent Hill games are you expecting the most? What things were missing from the live event? What are your favorite Silent Hill games? Let me know all your answers in the comments, and as usual, I'll invite everyone who is interested in my content to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to receive more content like this. There's still one more Halloween video to show, so stay tuned for more, and remember to keep cursed.